Okay, I think we're live. This week I'm using a streaming software that I didn't have last week because I was told that the resolution of my screen share was a little bit low. So let me know if there's issues with that this week, if you're able to see Descript as I'm showing it. And if you can't, let me know and I can make some adjustments. But I was just setting up OBS, which is an open source streaming software, and it's really easy to use. It's got a lot of features. I downloaded it from obsproject.com and took 10 minutes to set up, and I was able to make this video as well as if I can just switch it to a screen share and camera type of view. So yeah, if you ever plan to do video, I talk about not just Descript, but I also talk often about YouTube and about other tools that I'm using. So while I'm killing time waiting for people to join, if anyone joins, just figured I would show this and maybe it can benefit you. Okay, so let me go ahead and go into Descript. And, oh, you can't see my screen yet. Let me switch over here. Did that do the trick? There we go. So now I'm inside of Descript, and again, let me know if you can't see this. Otherwise, I'll just move forward. Okay. Start a video project. Last time I talked about templates, and we had about 3 people or so join, which was good, and I've got some questions as we went along. So I'm hoping that happens again. Hopefully we get someone to join, and then you can ask your questions as I'm going along here. Let's call this like YouTube AMA. And there was a Descript Labs update, which I'll go into my settings and show you. So it's the new timeline, and the thing that's new about it, let me just put in some random B-roll here. Just gonna put in a video and go to my timeline. It looks a little bit different, and I made a video about what this is, the new timeline, presumably in the next 6 months. That's just completely throwing a number out. I don't know how long, but in the next 3 to 6 months or longer, this will become the standard timeline, but for now it's in beta. And if you have to opt into it in order to see it. And so it looks different. It's rounder on the corners. It's got a bigger thumbnail preview. It's got a little bit of different look and feel to, for example, the keyframes, adding keyframes, like the freeze frame. It looks like a little snowflake thing there with the lines through it. I can delete that. And it's got a couple extra features to it than the current timeline, but the thing that they added this week in the latest update is, notice how there's this thing that says editing in all scenes or editing in this scene, and that's right below the thumbnail preview there. And then right here as well, you can choose whether to make a change to the properties of just this scene or all scenes that this layer is in by clicking that all scenes button. And now it's going to apply to the whole thing if I make any changes to it. So that is a really nice thing, because this is a really confusing thing about Descript is, like, if I make let me just demonstrate. I'll say this scene, and then I make it smaller, and then you might think you're done. You might think you just changed that entire clip, but if you look into your first scene, it's back to, right there, it's back to full size. And that's not what we want. So if I go back, I can say all scenes. I select it. Oh, so this is interesting. I actually didn't know this from when I was testing this the other day. You can select it down here, or you can select it up here. So I have, even within this second scene, I have a split right there. So there's two different parts to this clip, or I can select it up here. So I have to select it up here in order to have that option where I can do all scenes or just this scene. So if I revert, I click to all scenes. Now, whatever I do to this object, this waterfall scene, is going to apply to every part of the video that it exists in. So if I go to scene 1, there it is. It's full screen. So that's super useful. That's something that makes a lot of sense and would have been nice to have earlier. And again, this is only in the Descript Labs view. This isn't in the, if you haven't opted into it, you won't see this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a video about Descript Labs and why and how to opt into this. So I use it, I like to use it. I like to see what's available. And I actually did I'm gonna turn it off now. I just do, oh, and there's two. So there's the new timeline. You can opt in or out right there. And then by default, the canvas scene selection is the feature that I just showed you with the all scenes or one scene selector. So I'm just gonna turn that off just because people tuning in are probably still in the old timeline. And here's the old timeline again. We're back to it. It's this square, blocky thing that we've had for the last however long Descript has been using the storyboard. I think it's been 1.5 years now. So yeah, I fully expect that in the next, like I said, 3 to 6 months, they'll probably switch all users over to that new timeline. And you can sign up for stuff with Descript where you can test, you can get on a call and they'll show you what's the word for it? Like development version of Descript with that new timeline and then a bunch of new features that they're thinking through. And they just want to see users use the product. Like where do you go first? How do you make sense of like what this button means? And so it's pretty interesting. I did one of those calls and they give you a little bonus at the end. They give you more transcription time to your account or a free month or things like that to incentivize people to do it. So check that out if that's of interest to you, if you're a software nerd like I am. Okay. I still haven't gotten any messages in the chat. If anyone wants to drop a message, please do so that I can, hold on, is this, okay. I was just making sure my mic is working. I haven't gotten any feedback, so I have no idea. I'm assuming my mic is working. Okay. This is a new mic, by the way. It's the Rode Pod mic. And before, all of my videos on this channel up until now have been using the Rode NT USB Mini, which is a great mic. I used it for 4 years, but I wanted to get a dynamic mic. The NT USB Mini is a condenser, and it works great, but it's a condenser mic. You need to use it in a quiet environment, and I was getting a little bit of reverberation, so I switched to this, and it's been great so far. I really like it. You can let me know what you think of it. Okay, so where should I take this? Let's do some shape stuff. Let's make some shapes. I'm gonna add a waveform. And I can resize this layer. Oh, and I don't have any audio, so we're not gonna be able to hear that waveform. Hang on, let's see if we can find a video that has audio to it. Most of Descript's built-in footage is silent. There's no speaking with it. but I just realized, is my video lagging behind what I'm showing on the screen? I don't know. Anyways, unless somebody says anything in the chat, I'm gonna keep pressing on. So there's no audio to most of these videos, but some of them do have audio. And when you hover your mouse over any of them, it plays a little preview of that clip, including the audio if it exists, which on any of these so far, they do not. Talking. Let me see if I can pull something off my computer. I know this is a thrilling live stream so far. Okay, I'm just gonna delete what I got here. And then I'm just gonna add in a video. It's prompting me for the transcription, and I'm just going to say done. And it's gonna transcribe that. And Cast Magic, by the way, is a cool tool that I use. It's Descript does a lot of the functionality that Cast Magic can, but Cast Magic's more of a custom tool or more of a specialized tool. So you can just upload your video or podcast, audio only podcast, and it'll use AI to do show notes, like for YouTube. It'll suggest titles, like all sorts of stuff. So it's cool. I like it. And you can find a link to it. I have an affiliate link on my website, descriptmastery.com/cool-tools, and you can sign up with the affiliate link there if that's of interest. It's just castmagic.io, castmagic.io. Anyways, that's not important. I'm just showing you, this is just the video that I'm using. So we now have our video transcribed and everything's in one scene here. And this video is from my course, also on my website. Doing a lot of promotion here. And so now I can add my waveform. I'm gonna just go to shapes, this one right here with the square and the circle icon, hit waveform, and it's this layer right here, this box that I'm dragging around. Let me move this to the top. Another third-party tool I really love, and let me move this around my talking head right there. I'm gonna make it stand out a bit. So to change the color on any element in Descript, there's a little circle, and it usually defaults to white. So if you miss it, it's usually just a circle, a white circle. And then when you click on it, it opens up this color swatch, and you can choose from some defaults down here. Like you got just white, which is on the hex code FFFFF. You got transparent, which is, or it's not quite transparent, it's gray it's black actually, look at that, 0000 with 10% opacity. That's what this one is right here, and you can just change the opacity all the way up to 100%. You got a gray, and so anyways, you get the idea. They're presets. Or you can move your color around here, or you can match a color. So let's say I want to match the color on my shirt. I can just do this magnifying glass thing, click on it, and it matches a pixel from my shirt. And now let's take a look. Is this right here, it's called Cast Magic, castmagic.io, and it does cost a little. So there's my waveforms. And I can resize this, I can make it bigger, so I can get those like really big freaking waves. I can a little bit per month. I was able to buy this like that. And if you click on this word that says lines, you can change it so it's a circle. This on a lifetime deal on AppSumo, and AppSumo, and that's going off of again, it's going off the sound waves, the same sound waves that are down here, which comes from my voice or whatever other audio is in this clip. It could be music, it could be, background sounds. It'll replicate that with this visual. I could do a ring. Ring's
as a
similar to
side note,
circle, but it's got
is a
two layers. You could do wave.
great tool for finding.
Let's go back to line though. And then inside of that, you can change any of the properties. And again, you got your fill color. That's the same thing we changed before. You could remove the fill color right there. I think that would just move it back to white. Let me just see. Yeah, I just changed it back to white. And then when I turn it back on, it goes back to green. I can change the size of the waves.
Software is a way to find free.
So they're bigger and softer. They're kind of like rounder and less sharp than they were before. The fidelity is how spread out these are. And so they're going to move, the lower the fidelity, here's what it looks like.
Free software. I'll do a lesson about that after this. What I do
They're like columns now. And it essentially, there's the size again, hang on. Fidelity. So it's changing the amount of the sound, the portion of the video that you're seeing in one view. So let me just change this a bit. And then let me change the size again. I want to go back to, that's too much. I want to go back to the kind of sharp look.
In my workflow is
like that. Okay. And again, feel free to drop comments. I see we got 3 viewers on, so feel free to drop comments in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk about random stuff and you can watch me edit. I'm just going to make up things on the fly. Okay, so that's magnitude. You can do mirror, which centers it inside of this box. My blue box is the layer parameters for this sound wave. And this mirror moved it up into the center and flipped it around the x-axis. So it's identical up, above, and below an x-axis.
I'll take my video from Descript. This is,
so it looks like
notice
that.
where my mouse is. I just copy.
Come to line. I'm going to turn mirror off so it's back on the bottom.
The Descript share page. I come over into cast.
Like so. So that's it for the properties and that was only lines. We didn't go in depth on circle, ring, or wave, but you get the idea. You can change any of those. Under effects, you can add a shadow to this thing. Look at, I'm toggling it on and off. You can see how it adds a little bit of a shadow. I don't know that I would add that in most cases. If I do, I would probably turn the blur down. That's 15, so probably if it's like a 3, let's see how that looks.
Cast magic. And what cast,
can't really even tell. Yeah, not much of a difference there. That's shadow. You can also apply chroma key color adjustments. These things don't really make much sense to do. You could add a blur. That's kind of an interesting effect if you had this like in the background on a template maybe. That could be something interesting to play with. But yeah, color adjustment, chroma key, probably not going to do anything there. I would rather just adjust the color property on the layer itself rather than try to adjust it with, changing the temperature like that. Turns it red, turns it blue. I'm just going to remove that though. You can pixelate it. That's kind of an interesting effect. Could make it look like an old Nintendo video game or something. I'm going to turn that off. And zoom blur, that's the last one you got, which, that's kind of cool.
What magic does is it creates,
I kind of like that.
using AI, titles, tags, descriptions.
I could do something with that. And you can change how it looks with the X and Y zoom center and how drastic the blur is. There's 100%. Top left, bottom center.
LinkedIn posts, tweets, everything. It does everything.
That's kind of cool. You could make it like a light green and do like a Aurora Borealis effect somehow on like while you're talking. Let me try to do that right now. We're just having fun here. Let's do like a light green, not too light, somewhere right there.
For you based off of your content. So right here where it says,
cool. It's like the Aurora Borealis behind me as I'm talking about cast magic. Okay. And so, yeah, the waveform is itself a layer. You can find it here, and you can find it here. And I could just hide it. I could lock it. Locking, by the way, is a little bit, I don't use it often, but just to talk about it, because I'm just riffing on random topics until somebody drops something into the chat. Locking basically makes it part of the background, for lack of a better word. So I've locked the waveform, and now I cannot select it. So it's still there.
Right here where it says,
but I just can't edit it. And so this could be useful if you have a lot of elements, you have a lot of objects on your video, and you want to just lock things in place so they're not distracting you. Yeah, maybe I can, if I find another way to explain that later, I can show you more on that. That is, let's cut it there for the waveform. I'm gonna add a couple scenes. I'm just gonna add like from like here at 50 seconds to like a minute 20. I'm just gonna add a back to shapes progress bar. And it automatically filled the entire scene. I was in scene 2. It automatically filled that entire space that I had it in. And it is this giant white circle thing that just appeared. Hang on, that was the wrong layer. Select the progress bar. And it's not a bar, it's I keep selecting the wrong thing, sorry. It's a pie right now. So you see this style, just like with our, what was the thing we added before, the waveform, you can change this from a bar, an actual bar, which you see this white thing now, that is our bar. Let me make this smaller and put this across the top. It's still going outside of my canvas. This was a really big Descript. It preserves a lot of the last used settings. So I think the last time I was showing this to somebody, I had it set to that giant pie looking thing. And that's why that was the default. But the default should be this bar. Thus, it's called a progress bar. And if as before, you click on that white dot, you can change the color, make it red. You can change the opacity. So like, look at that, it's like a faint red. And I'm gonna move this down below the Aurora Borealis thing. And then you can have it start at 0% and end at up to 100%, makes sense. If you change this number, if you change it to like 10%, it's not gonna go, if I go to the very start, first of all, to explain what this does, this progress bar tracks the motion of the video that you're playing it in. So again, it's spanning the entirety of scene 2 here. So this progress bar is gonna start at the very left side. The red is gonna start at the very left side. And as it moves through scene 2, it's gonna track along the progress with scene 2. And I just got a comment in the chat with a question. Absolutely, I'll show you how to use the templates. I'll just finish this thought. And so, yeah, it plays along as it's tracking through. Look, if I scrub through here, see how it's playing? So if I set it to start at 10%, rather than starting at the far left side of this layer, it's gonna start at 10% of that layer and then go up to 100%. So that's it for that. I will show you how to use templates, how to install and use my templates. So let's go here. This is my website. Hang on, This is the Descript Mastery website. And then right here at the top, there's a templates button. So you can click on that. And then it opens up this page, and there's free templates available. You can order custom templates. You can take a templates masterclass that I have, which is also included in the main course, but you can also just buy this as a standalone class. So if you do one of the templates here, the free templates, then you have all these links, and there's a huge variety here. So let's just pick this Netflix one. And inside of these are essentially folders of templates. So this first one is everything that I use on this channel and in the course. So it's got like the outro for the YouTube channel. It's got the titles. It's got the arrows I use to annotate the pages. And you can download all those right there. So that's just telling you there's 35 templates inside of that. This one here is simple. It's just one template. And if I click on it, it opens up a Descript page. And this is the template for this style of caption, which is, I tried to, as best I could, to replicate the Netflix standard subtitle. It's just black with a white outline and a little bit of shadow, 2 lines centered at the bottom of the screen. And what you do is when you hover over it, you can preview it. You can see that there's words playing. So that's showing you a little preview of that caption. And then to put this into your project, first of all, if you're having trouble applying it, are you on the creator or pro plan? Because you have to be in order to use templates. If you're on the free plan, you won't be able to take these. So, and this might look different on your screen because I'm logged into my account, but you should see this button that says copy to my templates, and you click on that, and then you find the drive. I have a bunch of drives. Probably you only have one drive here, but you'll click the one that you want to put it into, and then it says, I don't know if you're able to see this. I think my webcam's in the way, so I'll slide this over. You get this little notification in the bottom that says template added to your library, show in Descript, and then you can click on that. And it just opened another window right here. And the one that I just added is this one right here, subtitles and captions copy. So it's gonna put in parentheses the word copy after the title of it. And I'll just click on it to open it. And this is the template. So if you wanted, feel free to download these templates and change them. You can modify them if you want to make this bigger or whatever. You're welcome to do that. But I'm going to go back to projects, and then I'm going to go to the thing that I just had open. I'm going to open a new composition. And then inside of here, to apply this captions, actually, let me apply it to the video that I already had because I had speaking. So captions obviously won't work unless there is something to caption. So you have to have some words. You have to have it transcribed. And so here I am inside of a project that's been transcribed. I'm going to go up to templates, this icon with the 4 squares at the top. I'm going to go to, I think it's saved to private. Yeah. So it's saved into my private folder here. And then it's this one right here, caption, subtitles and captions, copy. And all I do to use it is click on it. Oh, I don't have to click again. So this is basically a folder. Any of these are a folder. If I click on one, see, I click on Neil, and then there's a bunch of captions inside of there, or a bunch of templates. So I click on this one, and then here's the template that I actually want to apply. And there is the template, the caption in this case. Another third-party tool I really love is, and so the thing that's tricky about templates is every single one is different in the sense that this is a caption template. If it's a template that applies to the script layer, it's going to, when you apply it, the properties of that template are going to apply to the script layer in your project. If it's a title, if it's something like a title and a still image, you can think of the template as a container of layers. And so when you apply that, it's going to add that container to your project. Does that answer your question, Baby Boomers Fitness? Are you still there? Were you able to follow along? Were you running into any specific issues, like it not working? If so, let me know. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that. And I'll show you another one. Like, here's a good one. These title screens here. These ones you can think of as a container of layers. It's a video in the back. In the one that my mouse is on right now, it's a stadium. It's showing like a drone shot of a stadium. And then it's got a second layer, which is the title that says title here. And so I can go to, once again, copy to my templates. I'll choose the drive I want to put it in. It says template added to your library. I'll do show in Descript. It just opened up in a new window on my other screen, but I'm going to go ahead and just apply it in my project right here. So I'll go to templates, and by default, it opens up to the last template that I used, which was the Netflix subtitles. But I'll go back and go to private, and then there it is. This is the one that I just copied from the browser. So I'll click on that, and here's all the different options. So I'm gonna apply this one right here. And there it is. So it applied the layer that is the video layer with the stadium background, and then it applied the title here layer. And so I could click on it, and I could say sports, whatever. And it's a little bit big, so it went off the screen there. So I can click on that layer, resize it so it's all in one place. And I can center it. You see those red lines vertically and horizontally that snap into place to tell me that that it's centered up. And then I can, just to show you these other ones, I have this star one, I have this field one, the sports one, boating, and flying. And it's just a really, really simple idea, really simple template that you could apply to any topic. So if you're changing topics, you have point 1, point 2, point 3, then you could separate it by putting one of these title templates over your talking. So I see a question, whatever is created in a template, image or video is going to show up on the layer. So whatever is created. If I understand the question, not exactly. So that's why I said every template is different, because in this case, for this template, it's a container which has this stadium video and this title video. So it's 2 layers. This template is 2 layers. Now, if your template is something that changes your script layer, like a zoom, like right here, I have this thing called the zoom pack. This is also on the website. Actually, yeah, this should work. So if I hover over it, you can see the previews of how these look. And so in this case, this one that I have my mouse on right now, it starts with my webcam view at full screen, and then it shrinks into the bottom left, into that circle, like that. So this template would only work when you have 2 layers, a webcam layer and a screen recording layer. And it doesn't have to be exactly that, just 2 video layers of whatever you want. But that's the requisite for this to work. The next one is, this will apply to just one script layer, I think, if I set it up that way. So I'm gonna apply it, and let's see how it looks. And you can see it zoomed in on my recording, or this is just one layer anyway, it's just one video. So let me go back to the beginning of scene 3.
That you do, it helps.
Okay, there's a very, very small short zoom. You see this dark line right here? That's the animation. If I click on it, I have the starting keyframe and the ending keyframe. And let me just adjust these. And again, templates are they can be just a starting point. So I applied this template, and now I'm making changes to what that template applied, in this case a zoom, but it's not going to affect my saved template. This is only, you can think of it as like a starting point. So I'm gonna change what happens at this second keyframe, and I'm gonna make the width there like 3,500. And now it's super zoomed in, you see that? So if I play this,
It helps.
It zooms in like that. So I feel like I didn't do a really good job explaining that, but the point is the template needs to match what you're applying it to. If you're applying it to the script layer, then your template needs to be something that's modifying the script layer. If it's a template that just adds layers, like with the title layer and the stadium that I showed you, that is just adding layers on top of my script layer. In the case of captions, it's adding a caption layer. In the case of the zoom, it's modifying my script layer. In the case of a sound effect, I make templates for sound effects that I use a lot. It's adding just a layer, a sound effect layer. So if I add clock ticking, you can see this new green layer here. That is that sound effect. And
it helps them know who to address.
Yeah, like that. So it's adding something. What else? The title. One thing. Yeah, so good question. The script layer is your bottom layer. This is the script layer. And the script layer is what gets transcribed. So if I select words right here, like it helps them know who to address when they label the show. I highlighted it here on the transcript, and it also highlighted it here on the bottom layer of the timeline. So that's our script layer. And the script layer is the most important layer. It's the base layer, because Descript is built around the transcript. So the way you could tell on your template is, let me open one up. Where was my Zoom one? Zoom pack. So here's the one that I applied. It just does that quick, fast zoom. Here, when I click play, quick, fast zoom into the middle of this grass waving in the wind. See how it's on the bottom? That's how I know it's my script layer. And there's no speaking, so there's no transcription here. But if I select it, like Descript uses these dots to let you know that it's just empty space. If I select those dots, it selects it on the script layer. So the script layer is the bottom. I'm trying to think of like another way to, I think you get the idea. If not, I can try to come up with some other examples, but that's the script layer. And then anything you add on top of it, like if I come into my B-roll and I go to images, I add an image, it added this layer on top. That is not a script layer. Okay, yeah, you got it. I won't beat a dead horse. Cool. And keep the questions coming if anything else comes up. And yeah, so that's you'll have to make, I recommend you make your templates very descriptive. And mine probably aren't descriptive enough for how many I have, but I know how they work. I use them all the time. So I know that if I apply screen record zoom 30% right, I know that zoom is going to be applied to my screen recording, and that it's going to increase the size by 30%, offset to the right. So as you add a lot of templates, you'll want to make them very descriptive and, come up with your own naming convention so you know what they are. But that's something you could add, is like script layer zoom 300%, something like that. And you're asking how far you can zoom in. I don't think there's a limit, honestly, other than just what Descript can handle. So we can test it right now. So here we have this stadium. The way I'm gonna zoom in, I could click the corners and just increase it like this. That's one way to zoom in. Or the way to center, if I do it in these ways, it zooms off to the side. So like if I do this, it zooms to the top. But the way to zoom in while keeping it centered would be to open up the layout property here on the right and then change the width. And so let's just test this thing out. Let's go to 5,000. And these are in pixels, so I'm making the width, I'm making this image 5,000 pixels wide. And let's try 7,500. Now we're like looking at the field. Let's try 10,000. Oh, I think that was 100,000. Let's do 10,000. There we go. And now we're looking at the field. Let's do 15,000. Let's do 50,000. Now I can see like probably within 10 meters on that field. Yeah, so I think there's no limit here. Let's do 250,000. Now I'm looking at like a single pixel on the stadium support structure. Let's do 1 million just for fun. There's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million. Boom. Yeah, okay. So no limit, I believe. And then 1280, hang on. Where did it go? Vanished on me. Oh, I think it's off to the side. I had it out of alignment, so it's like, I'm not gonna find it now. Let me change the X and Y coordinates here. There it is. Okay. So yeah, I can just resize it like that. Cool. And then, yeah, I think this is a really clean, nice title, and you could download this off my website, and then you could just make this your own, like move the words around, change the color. This doesn't stand out quite enough. And speaking of standing out, I have a shadow applied to it. You see how shadows help? That's with shadow off. I can toggle it on and off, and you can see it just helps it pop a little bit. So I like to apply that to titles, especially when it's hard to see. Like this is like a light blue on a gray structure, so it's kind of a little difficult to see, and that just helps it stand out. But yellow on this backdrop obviously pops quite a bit, so I like that. What else? If you add a title, this is worth mentioning. It defaults to freeform right here. And freeform is what it sounds like. You can make up, add info here. You can write anything you want. And I'm going to double click. I'm going to go to the fill. And again, the fill is this white dot, kind of hard to see, kind of hard to, not super intuitive what exactly that is, but that is how you change the color. Let's make this purple. Let's add a shadow. Now it pops kind of nice. And that's freeform. So freeform, you can change it to whatever you want. If you change this to captions, now it's going to read my transcript. So I got a question, how can I zoom in and zoom out? I think, are you asking zoom in and zoom out in one scene? I can show you that in just a moment. I'll just finish on this thought. So the captions is reading your transcript. So right at this moment where my playhead is, I'm saying on your, and then if I scrub over, you can see how it changes with the transcript. You can change it to speaker, and I haven't labeled it, but if I label this, I label it as myself, it changes who the speaker is. So if you had multiple speakers, you could have it change every scene to whoever's talking. Composition name is this right here, YouTube AMA. Marker, I don't have any markers added, but if I did, it would say which part of the video I'm on. And then timer, so you can see right here, it's at 1 minute and 9 seconds. The total video length is 247. But if I play this, it's just gonna tick along with 5 seconds. And then you can name it, just the video like that. So cool stuff you can do with the title. Okay, so you asked about zooming in and zooming out. Zooming in and zooming out are animations. So you need to select the layer that you want to add your animation to. And I'm going to delete this progress bar. We don't need that anymore. So I'm going to select the layer that I want to add the animation to. And let's say I want to animate it so that it zooms in on me in the corner. The way I would do that is, again with it selected, hit plus, and there's a default zoom in, but I don't, okay, I will use these. I very rarely use these presets because custom gives you the most control, but let me try one of these presets and let's see what it looks like. So that was the zoom and pan preset. And if I play it, oh, Reels, TikTok, a link from any of those. Also, Descript works well, plays well with. So it does a zoom in. I didn't see the pan. I think it's panning down. Pan, meaning it changes what the camera is focusing on, basically. So the way to do that, when you apply an animation, you have a starting keyframe and an ending keyframe. In this case, it's the video filling the canvas. And if I go to the second keyframe, it's bigger than the canvas. This purple line is bigger than the canvas, causing that zoom in. And if I make it so that me in the bottom left corner is I'm gonna make it even bigger on the layout. So that me in the bottom left corner becomes the focus, that's what it's zooming in on. This change from keyframe 1 to keyframe 2 is going to be our zoom in. So here's how it looks. You can use YouTube, Vimeo, Reels, TikTok, a link from any of those. Also, Descript works well, plays well with this. So that's the zoom in. That's how you add that. And then let's say a couple seconds later, I want to zoom out again to show the full screen. I'll do the same thing. I'll select the layer I'm going to add the zoom on. I'll hit this plus button and I'll do custom. Click on custom, and there it is. There's my first keyframe, which is the place, the layout settings where my zoom ended on the previous animation. And then I'm going to select the second keyframe and I'm going to make it small again. So I'm going to go to the layout settings right here on the right, and let me make this 1280. Oh, I think that's too small, but let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to make this 1920. There we go. So now it's the right size. It just fills my canvas again. It's just small again. And the distance between these two keyframes, by the way, is how long this animation will last. The closer they are, the shorter that animation, the faster that animation is going to be.
Reels, TikTok, a link from any of
There's the
those.
zoom in.
Also, Descript works well, plays well with this. You hit submit, and you can also upload it if you just have the file on your
Zoom out,
computer.
should start right
And it'll take a moment to process, literally just like 5 seconds. And
right there. So yeah, if you've never applied it before, the thing you're looking for is animation. Animation isn't what most people might think of, like a Disney movie animation, or like adding a graphic or something like that. Those are animations, obviously, but in Descript, an animation is moving some element in some way. Zooming in, moving from left to right, up to down, you get the idea. And so I'll show you another animation that is just movement. Like, let me add a title. Title layers fill the scene that they're applied in. So I'm in scene 2. When I apply a title, it fills the whole entirety of scene 2. I'm gonna change the color. White dot, make it green so you can see it. And then I'm gonna add an animation to this title. So I select it, plus, notice there's not the zoom options. Unfortunately, you cannot zoom title layers, which is annoying. I would love if you could, but you can do custom, and it defaults to a 5-second long animation. There's the, hang on, let me make this bigger. So here's my title layer. You can see it labeled over here on the left, and it's got a T, so that's my title layer. Here's my starting keyframe. Here's my ending keyframe. I'm gonna have this title start outside of the frame. So I'm just gonna grab it and move it outside of the view. And then by the end keyframe, it's gonna be centered. It's gonna be right in the middle there. And so it's gonna slide in from the top to the center. Here's what it looks like.
a link from any of those. Also, Descript works well, plays well with this.
There it is. So you can animate titles, you can animate your script layer, you can animate pretty much any object, any visual object in Descript. Another fun one is images. Like, let's just pick a random thing here. I'm just gonna resize this, and then let's say I want her to pop up. So she's gonna come out of nothing. I'm not even gonna see her on the screen. And then it's gonna get animated so that this fills the screen. So with her selected, I'll hit plus, I'll hit custom, and by default, I have my first keyframe selected. I'm gonna make this so the width is 0. And now she's gone. There's width is 0, nothing there. By the time of the second keyframe, I click on the second keyframe, I'm gonna make the width 1920. So she fills the whole frame. So again, clicking on the first keyframe, nothing there. Second keyframe, full screen. Here's how it looks.
You hit submit, and you can also upload it if you just have the file on your computer. And
so she pops into view. And again, our animations, you can tell they're there based on this dark gray line over the layer. So if I click on that, I'm back into my keyframes, and the distance between them is how long the animation is gonna last. I'm gonna make this like twice as fast by making the distance between them about half. So let's play it now.
with this, you hit submit, and you can also upload it if you just have
Now
the
it's
file
much
on your
faster.
computer.
She pops into view much quicker. Yeah, and feel free to drop questions in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep doing animations. So let's make her disappear now. I'm gonna do the same thing, but in reverse. So I'm gonna select her, plus custom. She starts at a width of 1920. So by default, she takes on the properties of wherever the last animation left off. And then I'm going to click on the second keyframe. I'm going to make it shorter, so it's a shorter animation. And I'm going to make her disappear by making width 0. And now she's gone. So let's watch this.
Submit. And you can also upload it if you just have the file on your computer.
She pops up.
And it'll take a
she's
moment
about
to
disappear.
process, literally just like 5 seconds.
There it is.
And then,
So yeah, you can have a lot of fun with the animations. You can also make them spin. Workouts. Just got another message in the chat, just reading it real quick. With a video recorder on a tripod, with the zoom wide to capture everything while I work out. Then I create content and use my AI voice for shorts and long form content. Cool. Yeah. So do you put your AI voice over the CrossFit workout to like describe what you're doing? You could also, that's a cool way to do it. You can also record, with the button at the top and then do record audio only. And then you could record a new layer, and this would put your audio recording over your CrossFit video. So you could, for example, make comments about your form or talk about something that you're doing in the image. Can I use another video instead of an image? Are you asking about adding another video on top of your CrossFit video while you're like, and then animating it? Because it doesn't matter if it's an image or a video. It's just a layer, it's an element in Descript, and you can do anything you want with it in terms of sizing it, animating it, making it faster, making it slower, all that type of stuff. You can do it on all, like a transition. So if you're talking about transitioning between scenes, you can click into this gray area here and not select a layer. It's the trickiest part about Descript is clicking in the right place, because I see so many people that are like, I can't figure out where to apply the animation. I can't figure out where to apply this or that. And the problem is they're not clicking on the right layer, or you need to be clicked outside of a layer, have nothing selected in order to see this, where there's layers, all your layers in one place. Or to apply transitions, which, if this is what you're asking about between scenes, you can apply a transition going into a scene or a transition out of a scene. So you could say out, cross zoom, and then it would look like this.
and like in Descript, you can label the speaker. They recommend that you do. It helps.
So it did that like zoom in swoosh kind of thing. And then another question I saw somebody ask, and sorry if that doesn't answer your question, you can add more details if there's something else. But another question, dragged and dropped video files into Descript. I wanted to know if I can bulk download those video files out of Descript. Is that possible? Or would you just have to download each video one by one? I've never tried that, to be honest. Let's take a look. I don't know the answer to that. So the way you could download it is right here. So inside of your media bin, to talk through what I'm doing, this is it at the top. And your media bin applies to your project. So you can have multiple compositions inside of a project, and all of your media files that you add will go into this media bin for one project only. It's not like other softwares where you can have a common media bin that is shared between projects. So anyways, your media bin, this is where everything, including, in this case, the B-roll, this was not my own footage, this is what I added from Descript. is where this goes. And you could download it. I think you probably already were doing this, and this is on a Mac. It's going to say something different on Windows, but on Mac it says copy file to Finder. And that is basically how I would download something, but one at a time. So probably you already figured that out. File export completed. I can hit open, and there it is on my computer. Now, doing it bulk, this is like a way to sort through. I can sort by video type. I could just have my videos. I don't believe there is, unfortunately. Delete 2 items. Okay, I just did it. So you can select something, hold shift to select multiple things, 3 files, come up to these 3 dots and say copy 3 files to Finder. And there we go. That just copied all of those to my computer. So you can do it. Not the most elegant solution, but it's possible. Glad I could help. Glad we could figure that out together. Yeah, we've been going on over an hour. Is there any last minute questions? We got 4 people on. Is there a way to apply color corrections to multiple scenes easily? Let me see. That I don't know right offhand either, but I could test real quick. The way that it would do it, if Descript allows it, is add a color adjustment, and then let's say we increase the temperature. Looks terrible. And then you could do apply properties to all scenes. Now the problem with this, let me go ahead and do it. The problem with that is, so it does work. I just applied that color correction to across scenes. I applied it in scene 1, and now it's in scene 3 as well. The problem is it will apply any other properties from scene 2. So if I also had, I don't know, a sound like, okay, if this layer was quieter, it would also apply it to this one, which may or may not be what you want to do. The other thing you could do, I'm just going to undo that. So I'm going to get rid of that application. So let's say scene 2 is color graded how I want over here on my left thumbnail. I can right click on it. I can say copy layout and come to scene 3, right click on it and say paste layout. And now that property is applied to the scene. But once again, it also copied the other layers I had. So this title layer and this B-roll layer with the animation that I made earlier. Hopefully that helps. So it just depends on what you're trying to achieve, but you can definitely do it. You could also make a template with the color adjustment that you want and then just apply that. I also have some overdubs that don't get corrected with the scene they're in, maybe because they're in another layer. Overdubs that don't get corrected. I'm not exactly sure. I have some overdubs that don't get corrected. Yeah, so if I understand the question, you can only edit words. You can only edit the script layer, which I think you just joined, Jesse, but I went earlier about the script layer. So the words you can only edit from the transcript will only affect what's in the script layer. I could apply color, the overdub section. Oh, okay. So for anyone else following, he applies the color to the scene, but the overdub section doesn't get the color change. The overdub section, typically it just it depends how you do it, but by default it'll create a black scene. So let me show, let's say I'm right here and I got this super blue thing going on. I select some part that I want to overdub, and let me just, the body. I'm going to change body to the word main. So I'm going to change body paragraph to main text. So I select it, I go replace, overdub, and I type in what I want to change it to. So main text, overdub, and it's pulsing. If I have to have it labeled in order for overdub to work, just pointing that out. And I'll wait for that to finish. And there we go. Let's see how it looks and sounds.
Your like the main text of your description.
Oh. So sometimes it does this where it creates it keeps the video layer and pushes it on top. Sometimes it just blacks it out. And so I see what's happening is the changes you're making here, like, let me do a color adjustment, and then I'm gonna turn that down. And then if I look at this layer, it's still blue. And so that's the issue, is this is a separate layer, and you would need to do it right here. Just change that to 6600 is the default. So yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Just like that. Cool. Yeah. Let me know if any other questions. If I get anything in the next 15 seconds, we can keep going, or I can video editors where I can put a layer on top of everything to change. Yeah. Yeah, totally. There's, you know, I mean, this is what I do all day, is teach people Descript, and I love the software. It's what I know better than anything, but I don't necessarily recommend it for all use cases. I'm very upfront about that there might be better tools if you're not, the best use of Descript is podcasts because of the transcript based stuff. But depending on what you're doing, yeah, you might be better served by something else where you can get more granular control on the timeline. And especially the color grading. Like, I don't do a lot of color grading in Descript because it's just not good. This right here is your complete limits. It's not like DaVinci Resolve where you got like so much crazy stuff you can do and just like make a bad camera look really good. Not a lot of options. And probably, you know, Descript changes quickly. They're always updating it, adding to it. I'm sure someday it'll be a lot more that you can do in that sense. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I plan to do this every Friday at the same time, and I suppose I should shout out what I do. In case you're finding me for the first time, I have this channel where I post a lot of videos, but I also have descriptmastery.com, and there's a course there. There are the free templates, which we talked about today quite a bit. And I also do one-on-one calls. So you can book time with me and just ask your questions. We can edit together, whatever you want. It's your time to just figure out the call. And one other thing, I'm doing a boot camp right now with one student, but someday I hope to have it be a course with 5 or 6 people at a time, and it's like an immersive every single day, projects every day, and then taking you from beginner to expert by the end. The goal is to get you to your first editing job or a freelance job at least. So yeah, descriptmastery.com. Check it out. Thanks for joining, and hope to see you next week.